Over health care now, growing increasingly personal. I'm joined by Wisconsin U.S. Senator, Democrat Tammy Baldwin. Senator, thank you for joining us. I have to tell you, I was watching the Vietnam thing on NPR last night, public television, which is spectacular. And I'm watching him interview John McCain. He's like this. He had broken arms, both arms broken from when his plane was shot down over Hanoi. His legs broken. He's like in a straitjacket. He can't move. He's had some kind of medical treatment by the communist North Vietnamese. And there's some French journalist has asked him, and he refuses, even in that condition, to do what the captors wanted to do, which is thank them publicly for how well they treated him. If he can put up with that, he doesn't have a problem with Trump.
For sure, for sure. And it just shows you, you watch something like that, it's deeply personal. And, John McCain has talked a lot about process, hasn't talked a lot about what it means to not have health care and what it means to have it. But you know that that's sort of going on in his consideration of this, too. And
he can't raise his arms. He has permanent challenges, disabilities, if you will, from what happened to him when this guy and he treats the president as sort of a carnival operator, some guy that does beauty contests, as a clown. And I heard that. You heard it.
I did.
He doesn't take him seriously as somebody to argue with.
John McCain has been serving in various capacities his country throughout his entire life, and he doesn't have to name it. You just know it. And, he's done the right thing in saying he will vote no on this measure. He did the right thing in July when we thought it might be over.
1:30 in the morning.
Yes, when we thought we had resolved this, but, we're going, I guess, through until the September 30th midnight deadline. But that said, I think part of what we're seeing is so many people following his and other leads in telling their personal stories. This is personal. And when you show the footage of the Finance Committee hearing, you're talking about people who are so frightened about whether they can live independently.
Quadriplegic.
Right, where Medicaid is the difference between whether they can
Let me ask you about something. It's interesting to notice the women in the Republican Party. There aren't that many. There are more in the Democratic caucus. You see Murkowski's very impressive, and Susan Collins, I've always been a fan of her. That they've really stood out. Why do you think? Do you think there's a gender factor, or is it just geography? What do you think it is? Why they've been the ones who've been the most brazenly going after Trump and said, I don't care what you think. Now Susan Collins came out today, as we said, and just said no.
Right. So I think
women, I don't know if there are women involved in this, there's more women more concerned about health care. They have been gutsy.
Well, I agree, absolutely. And I do think I find among the women in a bipartisan manner that we typically ran for these positions because we wanted to fix things. We wanted to work. We wanted to get the best ideas. We wanted to work in a bipartisan manner.
When's that going to happen, by the way? I only got a few minutes.
Well,
when are we going to have the Democrats say to the Republicans say to Democrats, you know what, this gladiatorial stuff has gotten us nowhere. Why don't we sit down, make a list of what's wrong with Obamacare, and do it? And
so that's exactly what we've been doing the past several weeks, actually since July, with Susan Collins, with Lisa Murkowski, with Patty Murray, myself, all on the health committee. Well, as soon as we defeat this, it better, because we have actually, through Lamar Alexander and Patty Murray's leadership, had a high degree of consensus on ways to fix Obamacare, to stabilize the insurance market, bring down costs, exactly what the American public wants us to do.
Well, next time Chuck and Nancy and Donald are having Chinese at the White House, which I think is great, big city, very big city people, do it. It would be great. You're a great senator. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.